Let's take a look at the liquid ink edition of Arrtx acrylic markers. Arrtx sent these markers my way to share my experience with them. These are described as liquid ink acrylic markers, so I'm curious about how different they are from the paint acrylic markers that I've used before. And while I'm not into pink, I actually admire the pink and white checkerboard design here. The box does feel sturdy, and that's fairly useful for my type of storage. And I'm not going to worry about the color names, but I do want to figure out some good color ranges based on the types of coloring I do, along with the different crafts I do. So a lot of these forest tones are a really important thing for my crafts. Okay, so I didn't see a swatch chart included, so I went ahead and made my own swatch chart. I'll go ahead and pull these all over here so I can focus on it. Starting with my forest colors. We're going to start with the browns because that's one of the things I often work with. And I'm not going to worry too much about how I fill this in. It's just mainly figuring out the capabilities. One thing it tells you is to shake. Thankfully, there is no nib pumping, which allows me to have more control. I rarely get to see that color in markers. Moving into our greens. So far, this first 15 is exactly what I look for, and the color lay down, I'm actually fairly impressed with the color ranges and the color application. Let's go ahead and take a look at the barrel. We have ink here, which I actually admire that they really thought about it. You're able to see what the ink color is versus the top. And there's this really nice, like it goes around. Like, look at that. You're able to see it over here. And you can kind of see where you're at on how much ink you have left. I really like that. The exterior of the markers have more of a classic design. And I'm actually liking the pocket clip here. You also get a really nice number here. It doesn't look like it's difficult to read or anything. And the bottom is clear. It's just a really nice design for a marker. And they look adorable when you actually look at the little cloud. They kind of look like little cloud or daisies. Oh, I see. They're like the shape of them, by the way, is this little sticker. So that's really sweet. So we're going to go to our next rack. Let's go to our blues. It would appear that they don't have color names. They've got color numbers. Moving into more purple tones. We're going to go upwards now since these colors are kind of similar. These also dry fairly quickly, so I'm not worried about getting my hand too much. All right, we got just a couple more left, grays and whites. For the white, I am going to go ahead and put some polka dots in different areas. And then maybe take away some line art here. This is just a fine liner. So, not too bad. I think if it was an actual ink that is printed, like illustration, it'd be a little different. Let's talk about these colors. I find the browns, well, they are a little limited because it's a 60 color set. The color selection is perfect. You got that dark color, you got that reddish brown, you got a grayish brown, and then you've got this beautiful brownish green. And then as for the lavender selection, beautiful selection here as well. You get that light color and there, then you got that periwinkle, a grayish blue, beautiful jade kind of color here, and these gray ranges are really nice. You also have some skin tones here. You can use some skin tones, even that color and that color. Beautiful color ranges. Golden yellow is superb for floral and botanical elements. In fact, a lot of these are beautiful for floral as well. So I am actually very satisfied with the color ranges. They are suitable for what I need to do with my crafts and adult coloring. Now, a lot of times I don't just do adult coloring, so we're going to go ahead and check out some of my other crafts, and later in this video we'll do some tests for adult coloring. So here is a quick overview of the items I'm going to be altering. This is a faux-like bark, and typically it will be wrapped around foam, like craft foam, and glued. This here is more of something that I would use mainly for displays. And then this right here would be often used as a footpath, like a pathway. These are a little bit larger, so I would actually try to make them a little bit more nature oriented, like kind of like a craft that maybe a fairy or goblin would do. And then for these, this could be variegated a little bit more. And then these sticks, we can add like toadstools and stuff like that on them. We'd probably do the same with this or moss. And for these, I think they are resin or ceramic vial that I typically will put in some dirt, kind of upside right, depending on the display. And then this is a little bit larger than what I usually use, but I figured I would try to alter it a little bit more and make it a little bit more rustic. So that's just to give you an idea. It's different types of materials, but it's something that instead of using acrylic paint, I'm going to try these acrylic markers. And if you're enjoying this video so far, please be sure to subscribe. This was about 8 minutes. I would say this is easier than using, so this is how it would look up against a tree. It doesn't have the bevel that I want, but that's how paint usually is. So typically you want to add materials that will make it look like that. Obviously adding a little bit more white to add a little top shimmer would make it stand out a little. But just so you know, it typically is just far away, so you just know there's something over there, and I think it looks great. It's not the center, it's just like something over there, and it's the texture. And I don't know if you got to see, like I was able to add some highlights to the bark. So we'll go ahead and I guess share the before and after. We'll put it side by side. That was really fun. So I am very fascinated by this process because typically I would try to do that with regular acrylic paint. I was going to color this lantern, but I think it'd probably be better if I had some kind of metallic one. So let's do something with these. So we'll go ahead and do this one real quick. I did get a little bit of ink on my finger the other day, so I'm stained on my nails. So let's go ahead and do and see what we come up with. I'm going to get my little tray back. It's a nice little thing to have when you're doing crafts. Kind of makes it a little bit closer. All right, so I had plans to use this more like a doorway. You would mount these to the house. And so if you had it as a door, you would have the door here, and then it would be like a colorful gnome kind of home. I don't really do gnomes more than I do fairies and more of the goblin core style, but this would be like a doorway, a little bit more colorful than just twigs. So that would be the idea for this one. Let's move on to the potion. We're going to make a quick label. So far it's going on pretty smooth. It feels slippery compared to acrylic. For this one, we're going to do something kind of more traditional. Maybe a snail. Yeah, we'll do a snail. It's kind of hard to do this all at a distance, by the way. So, sorry if it looks like I'm really struggling over here. It's almost like a paintbrush from a distance, you know? Usually I'm putting it right up near my eyeball. Well, I think these still came out really adorable. So for something like this, I would actually use it as like a doodle that would be near something that looks like perhaps a goblin or even a fairy did some doodling. I think this is very cute. There's a lot of potential for something like that frame. So there's a lot of potential for something like that. We'll do one of these birds. I definitely am using more than one layer for a lot of this. Here's the before and here's the after on the birds. Well, here is all the items that I have painted. Let's see what this marker set can do with the dot coloring books. So now I'm going to add some highlights and do some pops of color with the Arrtx acrylic markers. I've completed a page with Arrtx colored pencils that I got in 2023. And then I do have a page in the Goblin Core book that I'll share here in a moment. So let's go ahead and grab some colors. I'm thinking I definitely need some yellows, a little bit of a light peachy tone possibly for highlighting some of this. The wings, I think I might go with some light yellow kind of pastel colors to pop out that color in the wings of the bees. And then I'm also going to be helping these, I think they're like African daisies, do a little bit of pop of color there. But for these, I want them to stand out, so I think I might go with white. There is a little bit of a dark indigo blue color underneath that I use with the Arrtx colored pencils. So let me grab those colors. Wow, it's working really nice over these markers. It almost feels like you're using a dry brush. It doesn't feel like liquidy, if that makes sense, like paint. It has this almost like the moment you want just a little bit. I really haven't used this pink too much. I just did it in the swatch. So the fact that it is just giving me such nice coverage without being drippy is just really great over these pencils. And these pencils are a bit waxy because they're the original Arrtx colored pencils. But look how pretty that is. It's just adding all of the lightness I needed. There's moments where you're just kind of in the moment, if that makes sense, where you're having a really good relaxing time coloring with colored pencils and having something that can kind of fix some of the things where you kind of smudged here or kind of carelessly colored in certain areas is super helpful to have something that can basically reverse what you did. Just a little bit of white can just add so much impact. especially if you're trying to make it look like shimmery. So I think we're about done now. Cute, cute, cute. Oh my goodness, look at the bees. So much fun. I love enhancing. This is one of my favorite things about colored pencils, is that enhancement of something, and it makes it just pop a little. And you do got to go dramatic with certain shading. So let's go over to Goblin Core Susie Slug. I finished this cute page. I wanted to look like there's grass, and I think it kind of does, like grass as in like at the depth, you know. I used an alcohol marker pastel set from Arrtx to kind of finish some of the Arrtx colored pencil. And I like that there is a little bit of texture. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and enhance what I have here. Taking with a line art. Now he looks like he has fluffy hair, she does. And the same thing with the adding a little bit of, like they've got messy hair. I don't know if you see my other troll images, but I always try to make them look super fluffy. So that's cute. Light, but we're gonna do it anyway. Just adds a funny fluffiness about that. Look at his spiky hair. I think I'm gonna take it to his whole body. I love acrylic markers when it comes to cute fluffy stuff. You can totally make fluffy stuff. In fact, the paint markers that I did in the past, just adding a little highlights, and we'll add a little highlights to his butt and his back legs. You can add a little bit of fluffiness around here. I'm not going to do it in this video, but I think I have, this one. I did acrylic markers for this fluffy guy. And then the other page that I've done, just so you can see a reference of the style that I like to make it a little bit more fantasy. I did acrylic markers in this one in the past. I'm really impressed. Now, one thing that we obviously have to do is the clouds before we go. Clouds, I know I've had a lot of people ask me how to do your clouds. Try not to fuss with it. It's usually not something people look at unless if you make it not the focal point, people aren't even going to notice it. The other thing that you could do is add some stars here. It's kind of night, but not. So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not the greatest at making stars. You make something like that. You could make, maybe there's like a fireworks or something. That's why his little arms are going up there. So I'm going to go ahead and think about my experience for the next day and see if I can do a little bit more testing, and then I'll come back with the end result for this set. It's time to talk about my final verdict. This set has earned a spot in my art station. They're smooth, vibrant, with no pumping needed. They handled every textured surface I threw at them. And while I'd love to have more earthy greens and browns, I'm actually really impressed. And I can't wait to use these more with some other projects. I hope you enjoyed this journey of this Arrtx acrylic marker set. And if you enjoy art supply journeys like this one, I do have a playlist that I'll leave at the end of this video. Thanks for watching.